Some moments don't end loudly. They fade quietly. This is one of those moments. There was a time when conversations didn't need effort. They moved on their own, like something natural, unforced. Messages appeared without hesitation. Replies came without delay, and the space between them never felt noticeable. It wasn't something you tracked. It wasn't something you questioned. It just happened. The kind of rhythm you don't realize exists until it breaks. At first, it felt normal, being the one who reached out more often, sending the first message, starting the conversation. It didn't feel like imbalance. It felt like habit. If something happened during the day, a small thought, a passing moment, something worth sharing, the instinct was simple. Pick up the phone, type a message, send. And within a few seconds, the conversation would begin again. Sometimes it lasted a few minutes, sometimes longer, but it always continued, or at least it felt like it did. Over time, though, something subtle began to shift, not in what was said, but in how it started. The beginnings became predictable because they always came from the same place. It's strange how long you can ignore something like that, how easily the mind explains it away. They're just busy, they'll text later, it doesn't mean anything. And maybe, for a while, that was true. Life gets full, people get distracted, days pass faster than expected. But even then, there's usually a moment, a small pause in someone's day where they think of you, where reaching out feels natural, where a message almost sends itself. At some point, without realizing it, you start waiting for that moment. Just once, just to see it happen. But it doesn't. Not the way you expect. Days go by, and nothing appears. No message, no check-in, no small, effortless conversation starter. So you do what you've always done. You reach out, and the conversation continues, just like before. They reply, they engage, they respond like nothing is different. And for a moment, it feels normal again, almost enough to forget the silence that came before it. But then it ends, and the space returns. That's when the thought first appears. Not loud, not certain, just a quiet question. What would happen if you didn't start it? It doesn't feel like a decision at first, more like a pause, a small break from something automatic. You tell yourself it's nothing, just a day, just a moment of stillness. But even then, there's a subtle awareness, a quiet curiosity. The first day feels unusual, not empty, just different. There's a moment, maybe more than one, where your hand almost reaches for your phone, where a thought forms, ready to be sent. But you stop, not because you have to, just to see what happens. And you wait. The second day is quieter, less instinct, more awareness. The silence begins to feel intentional, not from them, but from you. By the third day, something changes, not outside, but inside. The waiting becomes noticeable. It's not that you expect a message anymore, not exactly, but there's still a part of you that listens for it, a part that checks without meaning to, a part that wonders if maybe this will be the moment, but it doesn't come. And slowly, something starts to settle in. Not disappointment, not yet, just clarity, because the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. When you don't reach out, there is no conversation. Not delayed, not postponed, just absent. Silence has a way of saying things words never do. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't offer reasons. It just exists. And over time, it becomes harder to misinterpret. You begin to see the past differently. All those conversations, all those moments, you remember how they started, and you notice something you didn't before. They almost always began with you. It's not a dramatic realization. There's no single moment where everything shifts at once. Instead, it unfolds slowly, quietly, like something coming into focus. You think about all the times you told yourself it didn't matter, all the times you explained it away, all the times you believed the effort was shared. And now, without the noise of constant conversation, the truth feels simpler, not heavier, just clearer. It's easy to ask questions in moments like this, to look for reasons, to search for something that explains the silence. But the silence doesn't offer answers. It doesn't justify itself. It doesn't need to, because sometimes what doesn't happen is the answer. And maybe it was always there, hidden inside the pattern. You just didn't stop long enough to see it. At some point, the waiting stops, not because something changed, but because you did. The urge to check fades. The instinct to reach out softens. Not out of frustration, not out of anger, just understanding. You begin to move through your days differently. Not expecting anything, not anticipating a message that never comes. And strangely, it feels lighter. Some connections don't end with a conversation. They don't close with words. They don't offer explanations. They simply stop continuing. Not all at once, but gradually, quietly, until one day you realize they were only ever moving because you kept them moving. And when you stopped, so did everything else. Sometimes understanding comes too late. If this story felt familiar, you're not alone. Thank you for listening. We'll continue next time.